It is important. Okay. So at 6.25%, the Reserve Bank repurchase rate is still below long-term levels. And in expansionary territory, the governor said in a speech in Johannesburg, okay, in the expansionary territory, so the governor said in a speech in Johannesburg on Tuesday, the consequences of the central bank loosening its grip on inflation and falling behind global peers as rates are being normalized would be costly, he said. The best chance we have with monetary policy to get faster, more job-rich growth is to maintain our focus on price stability with flexible inflation targeting, a proven framework. So as an economist, what advice would you give the South African Reserve Bank regarding the continuous increase in the interest rate? So in your answer, indicate whether you think the committee is doing the right thing, why explain why and what can be done better. If you believe this move is correct, explain what you think about this. So this one, I would like to hear from you. Right? I would like to hear your thoughts on this because we are living in such an economy where I think the interest rates have been going up now. There's been a sustained increase of interest rates over the past years, over the past couple of years. So I'd love to hear from you. What's your take on that? Right. So this is a discussion. So if you can unmute yourselves, that would be very nice. I don't know if Lolo can hear us, but in any case, you can just unmute yourselves and then I would like to hear
I
what
can hear you.
Perfect. I'd like to hear what you guys think about the impact of these interest rates. If there's anything that can be done better, what is it that can be done better according to your view? So I'm not expecting theory when I'm asking this. I'm not expecting you to go through into detail. We will go through that when we do the assignment, when we provide the assignment. But here, I just need your opinion, what you think, how this has affected you or how this has affected others around. So how good this has been for you. Do you think things would have been worse, on the backdrop of what? Yeah.
I think I can just try, but I'm not going to be long, but just try the way I say it. I think post-COVID, our repo rate was at the lowest. So I think even though the economy was not performing well because of not as normal as prior COVID-19. So I think the move by the Reserve Bank, it's a great move. However, the country is still experiencing some COVID issues that were dealt with. So that's the only thing I can think of, because I think we went as low as something like 3 point something, or like
yes,
3 point something. So we couldn't keep it there, so they had to increase it, even though the economy was not doing well.
Even though the economy was not doing well. That's important. That's an important point that you're mentioning, that the economy was not doing well and it's still not doing well, but they've since increased the repo rate. Now, I should assume now that should mean to say, usually when the repo rate is being taken down, when it's being reduced, it's normally a response to a slow economy, and we want to try and speed things up in the economy. So which is what happened. I think things were pretty slow in 2020. We're well aware of that. Right? The lockdown, production was very low. The GDP was quite low as well. So I think the central bank came into play and they reduced the repo rate there. So in an attempt also to boost the economy in a way, exactly like what you're saying now. But they have since been up. So maybe what could have been reasons why they are. What could be the reasons why they're taking the repo rate up? Okay, so okay, this one
I'm not sure. Thornton, I'm not
They
sure
want
if you only break down on my side, but I can't hear you properly.
but I think it's oh, sorry about that. Is it getting better now? Is it improving?
Yes, it's better.
Yeah.
It's better now. It's better than a second ago. Yeah.
All right. So it's the repo rate now has been taken up. So according to the governor now, he says they want to curb inflation. So let's look at some of the problems of the repo rate up. If you want to look, if we have to look at this on a practical sense, on a practical level, based on what we are going through now. So we have already distinguished now and say when the repo rate is going down, it's that's their income. So they normally implement that when the economy is down. Now that economy, particularly in South Africa, is still down. I think I haven't checked the latest, but I should assume based on what we see every day, the economy is slowly recovering. Very slower than some of the peers in the SADC region and all over the world, but they've since taken the repo rate up, right? So the repo rate is normally taken up to curb inflation, like the governor said. They want to curb inflation, right? And they do so. The usual response is to take the repo rate up, and of course they have done that now, just to try and tame the inflation. But what's the effect of that from a consumer's perspective, from a producer's perspective? Just looking at various players in the market, what do you think, or how would a rise in the interest rate affect you? What do you think about that?
Can I come in?
Yes.
Okay, based on my understanding is that borrowing is becoming more expensive, and for an ordinary consumer, like you find that most people now have to return their cars. Even when it comes to our bonds, the bonds are becoming more expensive. Like for instance, like I saw my mom's bond has gone up now. So it's affecting a lot of things. Even the food is becoming more expensive. Interest rates are going up. So I think it's mostly affecting the consumer in a negative way as compared to the producer. So consumption is becoming more expensive. Yeah. So it means that the more expensive it is, the lesser we are consuming or we are spending. So it's affecting the spending as well.
True. But now the governor is saying he's doing so that he can drop the prices. We understand now what the governor is saying. He's saying the prices are going up, so hence we're going to take our rates up to slow down prices. And I understand you very well now that in so doing, our bond prices are going up, right? Our car payments are going up. You see now the paradox of this whole thing. So in an attempt to lower the overall prices, some of the prices are going up as a result of the efforts of the government. Now we're looking at it in a practical sense. Let's say, take for instance, maybe if we are to consider the types of loans that we, types of loans that we have in the market. We have a fixed interest loan, right? Then a flexible interest loan. So if it's a flexible interest loan, it normally fluctuates based on the changes in the interest rates. So that one in particular, if a business has taken a fluctuating interest loan, then there's a high likelihood now that when the rates are going up, the payments there are also going to go up. And under those circumstances, again, the prices are likely going to be forced to go up as well. You see. But in any case, just so I can ask, what you think are the causes of inflation in South Africa? What you think are the causes of our inflation. Let's just establish two causes that we'll deal with: cost push and demand pull. Right. So demand pull is the one where there is excess demand in the market, right? Where people are buying excess consumption. So that demand pull therefore causes the prices to go up when the demand goes up, and then there hasn't been a corresponding change in the supply of commodities, then prices are going to go up, right? So if we look at that, okay, that's one cause. And then on the other side, the cost push, obviously, when the sectors of production have become expensive. So under those circumstances, we will see the ripple effects in the economy. So which one do you think applies in South Africa currently?
The second one, cost push.
The cost push. All right.
Yes.
So
I will go.
So-
I will go for demand pull.
all right,
Reason
all right.
reason being is that since now the interest rate is high, and
Mhm.
people will buy less, and the production, the producers will produce more, and then that will lower the prices down because of the demand afterwards.
Okay. But why will the producers produce more when the demand is small?
No, like right now, the interest rate is high, and then
Mhm.
they're gonna have. In fact, the consumers are not gonna consume as the way they were. So things are gonna change now, and then they will keep producing because they still have the same factors of production that they had, and
Mhm.
they're gonna have a lot of
Mhm.
production than usual because of the consumers won't be consuming the same as they were. So it's gonna result to price drops.
Price drop. So you are perfectly in agreement with the government. Perfectly in agreement with the government, because what the response that the government is taking basically shows that it's his belief that basically what they believe, I would say, is because of the inflation demand pull. So hence they want to tame our demand. Okay, but let's look at the other side now. Cost push. Why are we saying it's cost push? Why would it be cost push? What do you guys think about that? The factors of production. Labor?
Yes. Can you hear
Why
me?
would you? Yes, yes.
Okay. I think that it's cost push, basically
Mhm.
because when the factors of
Sorry,
production.
I totally lost contact of you guys.
Okay, so we're just about to hear Lebo now tell us why the type of inflation that's affecting us here is cost push inflation. You can go ahead, Lebo. Over to you. Well, I think she's muted. Ne? I'm just hoping it's not my network.
No, I can hear you. I can
Oh.
just maybe give it into cost push. I would say that if the interest rate is high, then the companies are not going to invest more in the factors of production, like expanding on all of that stuff. So the cost of acquiring new equipment will be high, and the cost of borrowing. So they rather keep the money they have.
All right. So from how I understand you now, the governor is increasing the interest rate. He wants to fight inflation, but the cost of borrowing is high now. So which means the cost of producing now is high as a result of the cost of borrowing. Suppose now they need to get some equipment or buy some equipment, which means they are going to be making bigger payments on that equipment. So which means as a result of that, we're expecting prices to be higher as a result of the cost of that. All right, I agree. Then I should add also, because we are also an importing nation, we are importing quite a lot. I can't remember what our terms of trade are. I haven't checked that in a while, but we are generally an importing nation. Now with the exchange rate, I think it's close to 20 now, somewhere between 18 rand and 20. So it basically means our imports are very expensive now. So if we're initially buying something, say if something used to cost $1, and by that time $1 was 15 rand, now $1 is 18 rand. That difference between 15 rand and 18 rand needs to be passed on to the consumers. So under those circumstances, now that becomes an inflation in itself, a sustained rise in the prices. So which is also part of cost push. So, but what you think can be done now to solve this problem? What do you think should be done? So we have two problems that we are facing. Problem number one is inflation, right? So we need to talk about how we can solve this inflation, and then again, very slow economic growth. So what would be your take on that? As a leading economist in South Africa, what should be done? Over to you guys.
Maybe we can create black markets and also reduces supply.
If right, but let's ask now, right? If let's say we, all right, creating black markets, I agree with that. Perfect. So black market now, I think I'll assume it's very close to what we were discussing the other time when we were talking about the other counterfeit products that you find in our metros there. Right? So if we create those, I like that point actually. So if we allow those other commodities to flood the market, right? It means they are in a way going to drive the prices down. Right?
Yes.
I think I was talking not so long ago with another friend of mine about the importance of competition in the market. So once there's competition, it tames the prices. Right? Nobody can charge what they want. It's now much like closer to a perfect competition, away from the monopolies where they basically charge any price and they know that you don't have a choice. So I think I'll really agree with the part with the black market, right? I would agree with the black market. So they normally call it, now it's not, because we all want to be politically right, we wouldn't exactly say the black market, but the parallel market, right? So we can allow, but you know, that would be a very difficult policy to put across. Ne?
Yes. Yes, of course.
So maybe what we do, like what the ANC is doing, maybe just turn a blind eye to some of these things and act like we were going to do something, but we were busy with some other things. But we know
Can I
positive.
can I get in?
Say again.
Can I come in?
Yes, please.
Yes, I've got a problem. You keep on cutting. I wish we could have something like what do you call network booster, so that when the network goes up, we have a booster that can help us to be in contact, because most of the time you are breaking. I can't hear everything that you are saying.
Everything. I'm hoping it gets better. But now I can hear you very perfect. Now I can hear you quite perfect. I don't know. Can you guys hear me?
Yes,
Okay,
I can hear
was,
you on my side.
I heard, by the way, I heard you are in what? stage on load shedding now? Is it stage?
I hear you.
Are you guys on stage 8 now? Or
Now
they
stage
still
6.
still on stage 6?
Mm.
Yeah, when I left the country last week, we were fast approaching stage 6, I remember. You know, it's hectic, but it's fine. We'll pull through. Okay, so I think that's perfect. I like the ideas that you are bringing across because these are more practical ideas, practical points that we can talk about. Maybe from a more technical point, we would like to talk about, of course, we started off by trying to discuss what the causes of inflation are, because I'm sure that will definitely help us to see what policy action to put across. And most of us now were, for the most part, in disagreement with the governor because we thought, we analyzed and we said the increase in the interest rates actually causes the prices to go up. So in that case, in that regard, which means we're falling for the idea that it's more of a cost push, and leaning on the idea that some of these interest rates, these hikes in the interest rates actually do cause some of the business costs to go up. So in other words, it exacerbates this whole inflation thing from the supply side again. You see.
And I
So
think
having
also, sorry.
Yes, go ahead.
So, okay. I think also since there is a competition between the businesses, I think the government should encourage the firms to accept the lower profits margins.
True. So the government should induce these companies to accept lower profit margins. Maybe the
Yes.
government can also, is talking about government, maybe the government can also bring about incentives or subsidies to assist these companies. What about
Yes,
tax rates?
yes,
Maybe lower taxes to try and.
yes.
So maybe in saying, since we're saying we are agreeing that the actions of the Reserve Bank are hurting consumers and producers as well, right? Maybe the correct policy action would be to look to the government to intervene from a fiscal, to put in incentives. I think by that time, when soon after COVID, or during COVID, government was giving out some packages I think to some businesses, smaller businesses. They were getting some packages. So I think that can help alleviate the costs thereof, and maybe lower tax rates also for companies. I think South Africa is one of the most taxed. We are one of the most taxed people in the world. Our taxation is very high, by the way. So maybe if that can also be looked into, right? So if we don't just look at it from a one dimension, right? So we also agreed that the rise in the interest rates actually causes lowers production, right? We already saw that, we already spoke about that. Lowers production. Companies are not investing anymore as a result of that. Okay, but outside of this module, of course, not talking about what the governor said, but if we look at the interest rates also, they have an effect on our exchange rate. So maybe they are trying to influence exchange rate, since the currency has been depreciating against the US dollar. Maybe it's a way to bring about foreign investment in the bond markets, perhaps, since higher interest rates are obviously going to attract investments within the country. Equity returns are going to go up, bond returns are going to go up. Maybe that's the whole intention there. But I'm sure you realize that every one of these policies that we seem to take always has got a drawback. So once you try and work on the once maybe you try and work on the exchange rates, the people are suffering on the ground. The goods market is suffering, right? While the financial market is doing well. But once we depreciate, we allow the currency to depreciate again, the financial market is going to suffer, but the goods market is going to do well. So it's really a daunting task for us to be on that there. Right, but in any case, we will tackle that. But some of the solutions that we're going to be giving on that there, right? Some of the solutions that we're going to be, all right. I see Lebo wrote something here. Sorry, I missed it. I'm starting to have network issues. I can't hear you properly, but I think it's cost push, because once the factors of production are expensive, it means that supply is going to be low. Very good. So when supply is low, it means that graph is going up. So that is going to be, it means we are fast approaching stagflation, like they call that stagflation, where we have a combination of low GDP and high prices. So which is where I believe we are heading to some extent, right? Because our GDP growth is very low. So maybe the correct policies that they should be going for supply-oriented policies, right, or production-oriented policies. So if there is a way that can be done, then I think that would be a very good option. I agree with that as well. Okay, so this one therefore gonna look at in the assignment, right? We're gonna look at in the assignment and then see what we can come up with there. Maybe trying again, like we say, trying again to be more, to mix the technical part and the practical part, right? And then on the second one, they talk about interest rates and the overall health of the economy, explain its importance on the side of both consumers and businesses. So this is basically what we're talking about now, because we're still on the issue of interest rates. How are consumers affected by the interest rates, and how are businesses affected by the interest rates? So it's basically still on the same discussion there. So here I would suggest, of course, that we look at this from for the greater part, we're going to be looking at this from what we already spoke about, in terms of that a rise in the interest rates, of course, is going to dampen the economy. So what effect does that have on consumers? Right. So how do you think this is going to affect consumer spending, and how do you think this is going to affect business spending? So businesses were looking at this in terms of investment. What's the relationship between interest rates and investments, right? Which is also a negative relationship. Same with consumption. This is also going to be. So on the part of consumption, as consumers, the interest rates, as we see again, you guys spoke about the bond prices going up, bond payments going up, as an adjustment of the interest rates going up. So it means what's happening to people's disposable income. So we will talk about that there. So we expect that disposable incomes are going down, right? So if the disposable incomes are going down, then it means we are not free to consume whatever we wanted to consume, right, under normal circumstances. So the opposite would hold true again. So a drop in the interest rates would have the opposite effect. Consumption is expected to go up again as a result of that, based on the fact that people buy houses on credit, people buy cars on credit. You know how important credit score is in our economy, in our society now. You can barely do anything without a good credit score. So which means we have basically been forced into a system where we have accepted debt, we have embraced debt. So in order for you to function, in order for you to get a car, in order for you to get a house, you must have a good credit score. And how to get a credit score? You take something on credit, right? And you see them that you're able to pay. But now that you've taken something on credit, what happens when the interest rates change? So that hurts you now as a consumer, right? So when that hurts you as a consumer, then you can't buy as much as you want to buy, right? your disposable income is down. So which means if you analyze this in terms of your demand and your supply, and then your demand is reduced, it has gone down. What happens to your consumer surplus? It's going down. So in terms of your welfare as a consumer, then you are going to be losing when the interest rates are high. That is going to affect businesses as well, because your consumption of their products is going to be compromised, and then businesses cannot take loans the way they want to take loans. They basically can't engage in expansionary projects anymore, you see. So that is what we are going to be analyzing there, right? So which means if we don't get it right on the interest rates there, look at how many people who are going to be affecting there, all right? Look, for instance, most of these taxes that people bought, those taxes are on credit, you see. So once their payments go up, they are putting pressure on those guys to adjust the tax fares. Once the tax fares have been adjusted, everything else is going up. See. All right, then explain the main characteristic that any object must have for it to function as money. All right. One question that we had here, I think it was on lower economics classes, was on cryptocurrencies. Maybe you guys can tell me about cryptocurrencies. I think one of us, I can't remember if it was this semester, early this semester or late last semester, one of us cryptocurrencies. So would you really classify that as money? I would love to hear that from you based on the characteristics of money. I think we had that on the first class, the characteristics of money there. But there is a main characteristic of money again. So I want us to look at that again. Then would you classify things like cryptocurrencies as money? That's what we want to look at there. All right. And then I think the rest of these will look at once the solution has been provided there. All right, but in any case, just to give us a slight recap just before we conclude the session, I think on our notes we had ended on probably on chapter what? Okay, I think we're looking at, I can't remember what chapter number that is, but we're in any case still on interest rates. But we're in any case still looking at interest rates. Right, we're looking at the risk and the term structure of interest rates. I think that was on chapter number 6. The risk structure of the interest rates and term structure of the interest rates. Funny enough, I came across this today in a finance module where they were talking about what we spoke about here the other week, last week actually, right? About how the yield curve should look like, the normal yield curve, when we say it has to be upward sloping, because we expect that the interest rates are supposed to be going up to obviously compensate for the risk that is associated with a longer term to maturity, right? But in any case, I think once we are done with the assignment, we're gonna pick that up. What's our exam date for this module? Is anyone aware? I'm sure you guys have checked that now. I can't remember when this one is. Is any one of you guys aware?
Yeah, 11 May.
11 May. 11 May.
Yes.
Oh, that's cool. So, well, then in that case, I think what we can do after we are done with assignment, we can probably have just one more class on this, and then we can just dive into question papers. The rest, I think we can tackle on the question papers in preparation for the exam. It's actually a lot sooner than I thought, but it's better. So we are over and done with it quickly. I don't know if you guys have any closing remarks. We are it's 8:15 now. Any closing remarks? If you are doing econometrics, the assignment is coming later today, much later. Your short assignment is coming later today. All right, bye and have a good night. We will meet on the next session for the assignment.
Okay, cheers, guys.
Good night.
Enjoy.
Good night.